Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Around the Wicket. It's now October 8th, and November 8th, sorry, and we're one day before the T20 World Cup semi-finals. And what an exciting time to be. Actually, I would say this is one of the best World Cups I've ever watched in my life because of the numerous upsets, the numerous comebacks, and just the sheer quality of cricket. I mean, from the fielding quality to the quality of the pace bowling we've had in this World Cup, it's had it all except a little bit in for the spinners. But I think that when you go to Australia, it's what is expected. So we started off with the pre-qualifying games, where 8 teams battled it out for 4 spots in the final championship. Zimbabwe, Ireland, Scotland, West Indies, Sri Lanka, Netherlands, Namibia, UAE. Before this tournament would have started, I would have told you that Sri Lanka, Namibia, West Indies, and Ireland would have qualified for the World Cup. I got two of my predictions right, but I was 50% wrong. The West Indies had a horrendous run at the beginning, and they just crumbled and collapsed. Much like how Shimron Hetmeyer missed his play into the tournament, the West Indies missed their ticket into the Super 12. And of course, Namibia, UAE, well, they didn't have much hope to begin with, but the Netherlands has just surprised everyone. And they've actually done quite well to win themselves 2 games and have leveled Bangladesh in terms of points and have actually gone past Zimbabwe in the final edition of the group stage. Anyway, Vin, so let's start with your comments about the pre-quarterfinal stage. I mean, like the pre-Super 12 stage where 8 teams battled it out, multiple upsets. The West Indies were down and out. They lost to Scotland and they lost to Ireland. Zimbabwe topped that group, winning 2 games. And well, what team Zimbabwe has had this time around? And Ireland, of course, came second to them just because of net run rate. And Sri Lanka, playing top cricket. However, they did lose quite early on in Namibia. They came back against the UAE and Netherlands to top the table, and Netherlands came second with 2 wins over UAE and Namibia.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think individually any of the qualifications were particularly surprising. I mean, everyone expected Sri Lanka, everyone expected Ireland. As you mentioned, obviously the West Indies not getting through was a major disappointment, and that was, I think, the big shocker. But apart from that, I didn't really see anything big. I mean, Namibia not getting in was a bit of an L, and I have grown accustomed to seeing David Weezer try to rescue them from the depths of hell time and time again. But yeah, as you mentioned, Netherlands has had a pretty decent run, and Zimbabwe made it into the tournament and somehow conjured up one victory. So that's solid on their part.
Yeah, quite a good early introduction to the tournament. It told us the tournament was all about. It was about upsets and it was about the big, fast, lanky pace bowlers that you have. So like starting with the West Indies, I think I want to bring up this point. When you have a geographically small nation, it's very like interesting to see how teams from a small geographical country have progressed over time. Because whether you take Sri Lanka, West Indies, New Zealand, or any of these small nations, one thing that you notice is that they have periods of time where they dominate world cricket, and they also have periods of time where they become absolutely like dog shit, right? And that's what we're seeing in the West Indies or with Sri Lanka. They had good 80s, 90s, 70s, and now they're just struggling. Sure, they won the 2016 World Cup, but they weren't dominant in all formats of the game and whatnot. So it's just a key observation. Moving on from that, okay, group stages. Well, India started off with a bang clearly. Let's spend like a couple of minutes on this match, okay?
Yes.
India Pakistan, where India won by 4 wickets in the last ball. Um, what a game, what an innings, and like what a brilliant start to our campaign, like to the World Cup. I mean, Virat Kohli set the stage on fire, and then just Ravichandran Ashwin with that finish, that last over. It has to be the greatest game that I have watched of T20 cricket, and it was just exceptional batting.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. The game was absolutely action packed. I think it would have been one of the best games I've ever watched, even if it wasn't India Pakistan. And the fact that it was, it just elevates it to new heights because they're just uh, completely new levels of tension that are involved there. And Ashwin is like, I mean, I said it when it happened, but Ashwin is the greatest batsman of his generation. A lot of people praise MSD a lot, but uh, MSD is good and all, but Ashwin is a different breed. The ability to leave the ball down the leg side, and people who maybe don't watch cricket, who don't know the situation, may think, okay, yeah, that's nothing. He just left the ball which was going for a wide, but to be under that kind of pressure and have the ball come down to you when a spinner's bowling and not like have the first instinct be to just absolutely try to wall up the crap out of it wherever over a square leg or a bit finer than that at that stage of the match, that's insane presence. And to play a beautiful straight a straight bat shot to finish it, not any kind of slog, nothing of poor form, just very casually hoiks it over mid off. That was absolutely brilliant from Ashwin. And you couldn't have expected it, or you couldn't have hoped it ended any other way.
I mean, I completely agree. Like it was and like a match of people who weren't expected to perform, or like Iftikhar scored a 50 and
Virat.
Virat Kohli scored, yeah, an 85. I mean, like I didn't really expect him to just begin the tournament of that, but he has. The break has helped him, and he's come. He came. He saw. He conquered, and it's a great story. From Mohali to, well, shit, I forgot what was played. Um, okay, yeah, from Mohali to Melbourne. It's been a journey of up and downs for him, and he's finally reached what we can hope to be a new peak. Okay, let's talk about. Okay, let's move on to next India games and come back later to all the other games, right? So India then played Netherlands, absolutely trashed them. I quite like the look of Netherlands, especially someone like Max O'Dowd or a Basti Lead who can like play all round cricket and really like push the team forward in terms of getting like acceleration in, especially in the top order. And then we saw some exceptional New Zealand or rather Kiwi dominance throughout the cup. India then lost to South Africa. England then walloped New Zealand, and India beat Bangladesh and of course Zimbabwe to really seal that win. So, what do you think about India's overall performance? Okay, so let's just start with Surya Kumar Yadav. I mean, I don't think I've seen a better batsman than Surya Kumar Yadav in world cricket in terms of play shot making. Right, those shot like he's defying physics. That's all I can say. The way he plays those shots, even AB de Villiers never played them in his life, and AB de Villiers him in himself would be at awe at what this man is doing because just the caliber of him to do that not once, not twice, but every single time he comes out to bat, and every single time he bat. Okay, so he has scored 1,026 runs at a strike rate of 180 plus in the calendar year. Now just take that into account. He's a number four batsman, and he scored 1,000 runs. Number four batsmen usually come in after like the eighth over has been done or the 10th over has been bowled, and they take the game from there. He's batting half the innings. He scored 1,026 runs at a strike rate of 180. The only people
Yeah,
who bat at strikers of 180 are like Andre Russell and people who bat 7, 8, 6. That's it. No one at 5 has a strike rate of 180. No one at 4 has a strike rate of 180. No one in world cricket has a strike rate of 180.
and yeah, I completely agree, and you can't even dismiss it on the grounds of. So a lot of times when players are this dominant, it's like the entire team's performing the whole way through, right? You'll have the top order who score a solid, 130 runs. Maybe Sky comes in and just puts the finishing touch on it. Even though we were playing Zimbabwe, it wasn't like completely smooth sailing, right? By the time we got like 100 runs, fall of wickets, yeah, 101 for four, in 13.3 overs, which is, I mean, obviously it's not bad, but the scorecard of 186 for 5 and seeing Sky score 60 on 25, that wasn't reflected in the first few batsmen. It's not like Sky was continuing on some sort of momentum. India was having a little bit of a break there in the batting in terms of the run rate and in terms of batsmen not being able to really get through. particularly after that insane catch. I forgot the guy's name of Rishabh Pant. Ryan Burl, Jesus Christ. I mean, like a couple of balls before he caught like with the crocodile hands, and then to go out there and take that blinder, that was absolutely brilliant on his part. And yeah, Sky comes in 60 of 25. There's no way to like describe that innings as anything but a blinder. It was just brilliantly played, and he just took the team to he took the team to something you would expect India to score against Zimbabwe.
I mean, it's not only this match. He's batted like this every single game he's played, and he always looks like he's batting a different pitch. He had 51 of like 25 odd balls against the Netherlands. He had 68 of 40 against South Africa. Now, the game against South Africa, India scored 133 in 20 overs. He has scored 68 of 40. That's more than half the team's runs and a strike rate which is almost triple of every batsman's strike rate in that game. Rahul, 64 strike rate, right? Kohli managed only 109. No one has crossed, no batsman has crossed 109 strike rate other than Suryakumar Yadav, who scored at 170 strike rate. Sometimes, that matters a lot, and he's made all the difference. Sure, we lost that game, but Suryakumar Yadav was the only reason we were in the game in the first place, right? Wait, let's talk about the South Africa game a bit more. Oh my God, the Kohli drop catch. I mean, there were so many points for India that they could have come back in the game when Miller and Markram were batting.
There's the
Because if
run
they had
out
got
as
that
well.
one wicket, yeah, oh yeah, the run out. Oh
Yeah,
my God. Rohit Sharma, I think it was, yeah.
yeah, it was.
So there were so many points in time that India could have gotten back in the game, and they knew one wicket and you're in the game. Because Tristan Stubbs, no matter how much you will praise him, he's just not it yet. Like he can be the best finisher in the world 5 years down the line, but right now he's just jack shit. Okay. Wayne Parnell, Keshav Maharaj, Kagiso Rabada can't do what Miller and Markram did. They're just part-time batsmen, and they when we saw Parnell bat those 5 balls, he wasn't really, in his mojo. So Kohli takes that catch, Sharma gets that run out, you win that game. So it was like really disappointing to see what it came to in the end. So
Yeah,
good game though.
it was definitely a nail biter, but I mean, at that point in the game, you can't drop things like that. You can't miss runouts like that, man. That was what 3 meters. That's just that was
Yeah.
unacceptable.
And
Unacceptable on
like he's
Rohit
not
Sharma.
contributing with the bat at all. Like if you take
Yeah,
someone like a Rohit Sharma, I'm telling you he scored like 5 runs this World Cup. I mean, even if that's not factually correct, that's what it seems like, right?
yeah,
Because he's not had any contributions towards the team. It's been Kohli with 246 and Suryakumar Yadav with 225 runs who have carried India throughout this World Cup. And people like Rohit Sharma have just been chilling.
yeah, yeah. Completely agree.
Like he can't seem to get away, like especially against the like they're catching him on the pull shot because of the long boundaries, right? When he's in India, he thinks he'll pull it, go for six because of his connection. But when in Australia the boundary's been widened, he's not able to get that um push that he usually does to take the ball across the boundary, and that's really hurt him. But on the other hand, we see someone like KL Rahul, who's had a couple of bad starts, make a comeback with like two back-to-back 50s.
Yeah.
And it's coming at the right time, right? Because India is going into semi-finals, and now you need that push, you need that comeback from someone like a KL Rahul.
Yes, it's true. I mean, you can't on a Rohit Sharma has had like very few excuses considering, as you said, KL Rahul's even made a comeback to form. Rohit 15 of 13 against Zimbabwe. It's just uh, it's just not his World Cup. But he's captaining a team through to the semis. Let's hope it goes all the way.
Yeah, and the two more games left, you never know. Okay, so okay, one quick question: what are your thoughts on us dropping Dinesh Karthik?
I mean, I don't like. I'm not. I personally obviously am a huge DK fan over Pant. I think everyone at around the wicket is. Uh, but DK hasn't been performing one, but that's he's not gonna perform for you every game. That's not the role you play. You're not gonna perform every game. But also his keeping has been kind of sloppy this tournament. It hasn't been up to the mark, and so I don't mind like in the Zimbabwe game playing Pant. Obviously, Pant wasn't able to perform either, but like I don't mind as much as maybe some others would have, because I feel like it's a worthy worthy switch off that you're trying to make. But I think they should bring DK back for the next game.
No, I think they should continue playing with Rishabh Pant because I think he can really counter the middle over spin of Moeen Ali and Abdul Rashid. Like he's had the better of them many times. And especially when you're playing England, who is going to play that Mark Wood is going to bowl constantly at your face at 150 kilometers per hour. They're going to bowl a wily Sam Curran who's going to bowl excellent at overs and swing it at the up top. I think you need someone like Rishabh Pant to take that pressure off in the middle overs and someone like a Suryakumar Yadav to guide him through it. Because I think if we are to beat England day after tomorrow, this middle order, Suryakumar Yadav, Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya, they have to win it for us. Because I have no hope in the top two. And Virat Kohli, as usual, plays the anchor role. But other than that, okay, let's look at last time's World Cup winners. Okay, Australia. What went wrong? They won in the UAE. They came back home 1 year later. What went wrong?
Yeah, they've easily the biggest disappointment of the World T20 is Australia. And I mean, like the first thing is with the ball, they just haven't. They simply haven't been up to the mark. I mean, just let's see. Let's just uh, go through the games. I mean, okay. First of all, we were absolutely robbed by the fact that they didn't play England, which would have been quite
Yeah,
quite the match.
that's the major point,
Yeah,
right?
I wanna.
Because
Yeah,
the
one more
World Cup
thing.
has
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say one more thing about the rain. A lot of the upsets this tournament, like the England Ireland thing, I'm 99 times you replay that match in a full length game, Ireland does not win. I'm sorry, but DLS, for as much as it tries to account for as much as it does, it just doesn't work. It's absolutely skewed. I think like what 75% of the upsets. I think three out of like maybe four upsets have been in games with where DLS has been applied.
no
It's
Zimbabwe Pakistan was like a dub for Zimbabwe. Like they won on their own merit, as
let's see
far
what
as
was it this
I
thing.
remember.
Which one was the one where they were chasing 84? There was one DLS game where they were chasing some 84 in like 7 overs.
No, I don't think DLS affected many of the upsets. Maybe the Ireland game, but I think
Ireland
one
England
thing the
game
rain
without a
affected
doubt.
is yeah, like it affected so many games in the World Cup that you didn't see a complete World Cup because you missed that England Australia game, and then you realize that if England and Australia played that game, it decides who qualifies. Because at this point in time, all three teams, New Zealand, England, Australia, are tied on 7 points and they've gone through a net run rate, right? And New Zealand have gotten that net run rate because they beat Australia by 100 runs in the first game. Amazing performance at Devon Conway, amazing performance by by the Kiwis. But that's been the reasoning. If rain hadn't come that day, if England Australia hadn't played, that would have been a quarterfinal game to
Yeah.
what's gone on now. Because
Yeah.
one of them would have been on 9 points, and Australia could have had a chance to qualify, which they didn't. And now, from being World Cup winners 1 year back, they've gone to people who have been idiots and can't win in their own home. Aaron Finch, no performances. David Warner, extremely shaky. Mitchell Mars, one off performance, right? They've been carried to certain wins by someone like a Marcus Stoinis, by someone like a Glenn Maxwell. They've been carried by that finishing power that they have, and they haven't done any good. Who draws Mitchell Stark in that game against Afghanistan? He can destroy their batting lineup at the moment, and he has done so before. Why would you drop him for Kane Richardson? I understand Hazlewood has been good. Stark's been mediocre. But why would you do it? Go back your guns, and they haven't backed their guns. And well, they haven't qualified. It's Wade's last World Cup. It's Finch's last World Cup. Both of them will retire soon.
Yeah.
And it's a sad ending for them,
No, and
unfortunately.
look, another thing about the rain, this short, I mean, as compared to, other T20 tournaments that we play, IPL, whatever, domestic leagues, it's a pretty damn short group stage. You have 5 matches. Okay, Australia has had one loss, and that was to in Australia's group stage. Australia lost one time to who? To New Zealand, obviously the first game, and I think New Zealand's the team that's going to win it all. Australia's had one loss, and because of that one loss, obviously had a big net run rate, but nonetheless, they've had one loss and they've been knocked out. The fact that Australia England game was rained out, as you mentioned, that is what puts one team through the next. Because obviously in this league, it's between those three teams. New Zealand is the best. England versus Australia. If you don't have that match, it becomes a really really shady event in which England obviously gets through, but like on net run rate because Australia and England never actually played. So that was like the biggest disappointment of the World Cup, I would say so far.
Yeah, same. And like one more. Okay, so let's move on from this topic, really topic of rain, and let's take a look at my favorite team this World Cup, and I think it has to be Afghanistan, right? Because for I would say 12 years to 13 years, they've been carried by Sikandar Raza and Sean Williams, right?
You mean Zimbabwe,
They,
right?
oh yeah, Zimbabwe. Sorry, I'm so dumb. Yeah,
All good, all
Zimbabwe.
good.
Okay, they've been carried by Sikandar Raza and Sean Williams. They come into this tournament
And Brendan
zero
Taylor.
hope, zero anything. But yeah, I mean, Sean Williams and Raza are still playing, right? But like they come zero hope, zero anything. They don't know if they're going to qualify. They're most likely not going to qualify. They've come here and they've lit the World Cup on fire, right? They take on Pakistan. Pakistan has just suffered a battering by India and they beat Pakistan. I mean, that's the most intense games I've watched in my life because them beating Pakistan, that was high level cricket from Zimbabwe. That was high level clutch cricket from Zimbabwe. And I don't think many people watch that game because Pakistan, Zimbabwe, Pakistan's obviously going to win that, right? Just much like Netherlands, South Africa. But that game, I would say that game is the third best game of the World Cup, easily, right? The first best India Pakistan, the second best. Another one of my favorite games, Zimbabwe Bangladesh. That 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 was the epitome of thrillers, right? Because they had a guy who was hitting at one end, then they had Blessing Muzarabani come in. They needed, I think, six of one ball, right? It was a thriller up till six of one ball as well. They could have won it much earlier. Six of one ball, Blessing, bold, right? Now what happened? Now bold stumped. The keeper has collected the ball in front of the stumps. So it's a no ball, right? Now it's 5 of 1, free hit, Blessing on strike. So the players have all gone off and been chilling in the dugout. Now they have to come back and do it again. And I think that was peak intensity. And I think if Bangladesh had lost that game, it would have been really funny, but they didn't. And I think the one reason that Bangladesh hasn't pushed through is they didn't come with that winner mindset because I caught that a bit when Shakib said we're not here to win the World Cup, right? I mean, when your most experienced player, guy who's been carrying you for another 15 years, says that, I think it just deflates the entire team. I think there were a lot of instances when they could have won the game. They could have defeated Pakistan. They were in a good position against India as well. After Liton Das's brilliant innings, so they had the starts. They could have capitalized. They didn't, and I think that's what makes a good team from great or a good team from bad. But there were chances and there were opportunities for each of the teams that played in the World Cup, and they didn't capitalize. I thought Group Two would be the most interesting. I mean, sorry, I thought wait, is that Group One? Let me just check
That's
again.
no, yeah, Group
Yeah,
One.
I thought
Same.
Group One would be the most interesting because it had like New Zealand, England, Australia, the Asia Cup winners, Afghanistan, who are the dark horses in every tournament. But then it's the group with Netherlands, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India. That's the most interesting group of all. And I'll tell you why. Again, that Netherlands, that Netherlands upset. Like I didn't watch that game, but hmm, how does South Africa lose that one? Like you've beaten India, you've beaten all the teams. How do you lose to
Yeah,
Netherlands?
that's like at that point, it's South Africa has a straight ticket. Pakistan's been playing like an absolute joke, right? I mean, I think the assumption was India, Pakistan 1 and 2. Pakistan's been playing terribly. South Africa's done all the hard work. India's obviously played like shit against South Africa, but nonetheless, South Africa's won the games necessary, and then they absolutely throw it at the very last minute. Yeah, that would have been a
I
disappointment
mean,
and a saving
it
grace for
brings back
Pakistan.
memories. It brings back memories. Like they are the chokers, they're the eternal chokers of world cricket.
Yep, yep.
But when they had the best teams, they couldn't do it, and now they had a chance, right? I mean, Themba Bavuma has got to be the worst player I've seen bat in my entire life, right? So, like, if he's captaining you, you're supposed to be jack shit, but you're doing well. So continue on that. Because South Africa right now, they're carried by Markram and Miller and one-off performance with Ali Russo. That's all they are.
That's
They are
facts, yeah.
those two players in their bowling attack. Because their bowling attack, when like on pacey pitches, you can't beat them.
Their bowling attack is
Australia
top
can't beat
notch,
them.
but their batting is just dog water.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I
look,
think
even in the
he,
first. Sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
no, no, go on.
No, I was gonna say even in the first game, I think it was the first or the second game where QDK played fairly well. I mean, if you look at the Netherlands game, you just you can't start off that slowly. After you start off slowly, then the middle, the Markram, Miller, Klaassen, that whole contingent, just weren't able to. Everyone got like double digits. I mean, if you're 13, 20, 25, 17, 20, 21, it's just not enough. No one was able to step up to the plate and just take the game home for the team.
Yeah, I think Quinton de Kock is the most experienced player right now,
Yeah,
right? And that's sad because from a team that comes from the Graham Smiths, the Hashim Amlas, Jack Callis, A.B. de Villiers, Faf du Plessis, even a J.P. Dumini, they have the best players in world cricket. They can never win. Okay, the bowling hasn't changed. Dale Steyn, Monem Orkel, Vernon Philander. You still have Rabada, Nortia, Lungi and Giri. You have your guys, but the batting, I think they need to get a young talented. I think Devon Brevis just absolutely molested a team in the recent T20 game, 160 of like 50. So Brevis, Tristan Stubbs is your future. Get the guys in who know how to bat. Okay, please kick them above out the team. I don't know why he's there or what he is. Keep him in the test. I don't give a shit. He's not a T20 player, right? But yeah, man, just shore up your defenses. And now, okay, yeah, semifinals. Okay, predictions for semifinals. What do you think?
okay, I have been thinking about this a lot, okay, and it's hard to get my heart out of this because my favorite T20 side in the world, obviously India, and my second favorite T20 side is Pakistan. So there it's a bit of a clash, but I do think Pakistan loses to New Zealand. I don't think that's a big thing. India beats England. Okay, first you say the semifinals before we go on with the finalists.
You know, it'll be a great upset. It'll be like one of the gigantic upsets if Pakistan beats New Zealand. It's going to be another
Oh my
traumatic
God.
experience for New Zealand
Yeah.
because to me, they have this World Cup in the bag,
Yes.
right? Assuming they don't, because they probably won't, right? They're playing in Sydney, which is one of the best grounds for them to play at. It's quite obvious. It'll favor them. Um, and India's playing at Adelaide, which will favor them too. It's set to have some grip on it, which means that we might see more influence and spin. But shorter grounds, they favor the Indians, especially someone like Suryakumar Yadav or Rohit Sharma, right? Now, when you look at it from a team perspective, India, England. England have that fiery pace attack, and England have those bowlers who can reach 150. So if you're going to have a hard bouncy attack, Mark Wood is really going to trouble you, right? If not Mark Wood, then you have an informed Sam Curran who's taken as many wickets as anybody in this World Cup and who can tong the ball at the end as well. Adil Rashid has just Adil Rashid's always done well against India, right? No matter what he does against anybody else, he gets Kohli out, he does well against India. That's another issue for you. The only way India can win this game is if they lose the toss. Okay? 11 T20 internationals have played in Adelaide. 11 have been won by the team who has lost the toss. Khuda office, please lose the toss. Okay? Other than that, right, you're going to need to somehow contain the England batting lineup, which is not hard at all. None of them are in form and none of them are doing well. It's just one of performances that they're all getting in their matches, right? If someone like a Bhuvaneshwar Kumar can swing Josh Butler and Alex Hale out of the game, Arshdeep can do the same. Shami and Hardik can come in and bowl those hard lengths to the middle order. England are gone then and there, right? So you don't give them a chance at all in the game because your bowling might win you the game, but if you don't have batting, you're not going to go anywhere, right? Because all teams have good bowling. Zimbabwe has good bowling. Um, who's this? Netherlands has good bowling. They can all bowl. They can't bat, and that's the key issues, right? I don't want to bring this logic, but like when you play stick cricket on your phone, right? Everyone thinks they're bowling well, but when they actually come out to bat in the like the game, like real cricket or something like that, that's when they realize that they're shit. Okay, or even in the game, you might think you're bowling well, bowling like five maidens, and you keep them to 60, but like that's double of what they should be getting on the same pitch. So everyone thinks they're bowling well, but like the batting is where um it's concerned. So I think India will beat England just because of a lack of batting depth in the England batting lineup. But
Yeah.
when they play New Zealand, just as it has been in the 2019 World Cup final, World Test Championship, and many times before that, New Zealand will get the better of India.
Yeah, I mean, look, with regards to India playing England, it's very simple for India, which is dismiss Joss Butler. And yes, Joss Butler hasn't been in the very best form, but look, I mean, if you look at the game that England won against New Zealand, right? That took a Joss Butler performance, what, 73. Uh, and he got run out that game as well. So it wasn't particularly easy to dismiss him, right? They didn't get like an edge or a catch. He was batting pretty damn well in that one. And but yeah, Josh Butler's been inconsistent. India gets him out. The rest of the England batting, or even the England batting with him, is pretty damn scattered. So uh, I think that should be a win for India, particularly considering our form. We've been doing very well so far. And yeah, I I agree with you. Unfortunately, that New Zealand definitely gets the dub in the finals against India. But okay, I have a question. We probably will agree on this as well. But what do you want to happen? What is your ideal semis, results, and finals?
And that's pretty obvious. India wins, Pakistan wins. You have a tie in the World Cup, you go into Super Over, and then India wins. Like that's like it's a bit easy. So but that's not gonna happen. Everyone knows that no, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
India Pakistan
Pakistan's
final is
just not
very
winning.
unlikely.
Pakistan's
Yeah,
just not winning. I mean,
even English. I mean, like even in India, they might not win. I think that's what makes it very close, right?
hmm,
Pakistan, we know can't win, but
Pakistan can't win.
If Babar and Rizwan suddenly find their mojo, they win,
Yeah, I
right?
mean,
Because what I've always predicted this: Bolt is getting Babar out in the first over, Rizwan's going
oh
in
yeah,
second over, right? So uh, it's as simple like that. It's as simple as that.
I'm gonna go with the bold prediction here. Okay, I'm gonna say, and this is just coming from my heart. This had nothing to do with any logic whatsoever. But I'm just gonna say, for the sake of prediction, Rizwan. Okay, I don't really care what happens to Rizwan. I'm saying Babar Azam. Okay, I'm gonna back Chaitanya on this one. Babar Azam gets a 50, 100%. Okay, this is gonna happen. He's long overdue. Coming into the World Cup, obviously he's been in pathetic form, absolutely horrendous form from what we've seen from him in the past. He's going through a how do I describe it? A low Kohli phase. He's going through the same thing that Kohli went through a bit ago, but I think this is going to be his turnaround point. I hoped coming into the World Cup that the World Cup would sort of rejuvenate him, but clearly it hasn't so far. Hopefully the semis are what we need, and we get an absolutely beautiful India Pakistan final. If we thought the stakes were high in the first India Pakistan final, Jesus Christ! I mean, in the first India Pakistan game of this World Cup, Jesus Christ, this one is going to be absolutely incredible. And we're going to definitely cover whatever happens in the finals. We'll do a post
Yeah,
recap with Rehan this time, so he can talk
yeah.
about
So
Iftikhar
we'll see
Ahmed
you
or
after
whoever else he
the.
likes.
So if India wins, we'll see you after the semifinals. If India loses, we'll cry a bit and then we'll see you 1 week later.
Yeah.
So yeah, that seems pretty solid. Okay. Yeah, bye.